Hello, boys and girls. We are on page 1. We are expanding our musical vocabulary today by learning the parts of our instrument. It's very, very important that you learn the parts of your instrument so that when your teacher gives you instruction, you know what they are talking about and where to place your hands when they refer to different parts of the instrument. It's also very important for you to be able to communicate with your teacher in case there's a problem with your instrument or you're trying to explain something to them. So let's learn those musical vocabulary words, the parts of the instrument. We're going to start at the top. This is your scroll. It's a very fancy swirl at the very top of your instrument, and it sits right on top of what we call the peg box. Okay, the peg box is where your strings get threaded through the tuning peg. Now you're going to notice that there are 4 tuning pegs and there are 4 strings. Each one of the pegs is responsible for a string. Now, boys and girls, it's very important that you do not go and turn the pegs yourselves. You don't know yet how to do that, okay? That requires skill, it requires practice, and it requires a sensitivity to how far you can actually turn the pegs. If you turn them too far, your string will break. Okay, you will have a broken string. Now, a broken string is easily replaced as long as you have that string. So just as an aside, it would be a good idea for you to have an extra set of strings in your case for the size of your instrument, just in case you get a broken string. Sometimes, boys and girls, strings will break because they're just worn out. It's no one's fault, it just happens. But it's easier to fix if you have them on hand and you can just hand it to your teacher and ask them for help and just restring the string. But please don't turn the pegs on your own because they're very sensitive. Okay, right here we have the neck of the instrument. The neck is from here on up. Please be very careful that you don't hit the instrument against anything, because if the neck comes off, if the neck breaks off, it is a major repair to put that back on. So be very careful. Your instrument is made of wood, okay? It is not super duper plastic that you can just throw around. You have to be careful with your instrument. Okay, I'm going to follow the black part of the instrument now. This is called my fingerboard, and this is where my fingers are placed. This is where my fingers go on the fingerboard. I want you to notice this is actually my school violin, and I have red tapes going across that I put on for the boys and girls so that they know where to place their fingers so that they are in tune, so the sound is correct. So I'm sure that your teacher will do that for you as well. Put on little tapes so that you know the placement of the finger. It will help us play in tune. Following the fingerboard down, we come to this part right here. This is called the bridge. Okay, it's called the bridge, and this is where your strings sit. They sit on the bridge. They do not sit on the fingerboard. They need to be raised from that. They sit on the bridge. Okay, now if your strings get very loose, the bridge might fall down and it looks very messy. Just put all the pieces back in your case, close the case, and take your instrument to your teacher, and they should be able to help you. And if they can't help you, they will send it out to someone who can. Okay, but we need this piece. It's very important. Don't just throw it away. Put it somewhere safe in your case. Now the strings go into what we call the tailpiece. This is the tailpiece right here, and it is attached right here to this little button at the bottom of your instrument, at the bottom of your violin. This is your tailpiece. Every once in a blue moon, this wire right here gets worn out and the tailpiece comes off. And when that happens, nothing can stay on the violin. Don't panic. It can be fixed. It's okay, it's not your fault, it's not anything you did. Now, on that tail piece, we do have these little buttons right here. They're like little screws, and they're called fine tuners. We use fine tuners to tune our strings when they're just a little bit out of tune, okay? We use the tuning pegs to tune our instruments when they are out of tune a lot, okay? So, just so you know, your teacher will go over that with you, how to use that, all right? The fine tuners, you will probably be able to use faster than the tuning pegs, okay? Finally, we do have our chin rest right here, and this is where we place the side of our chin. This is your chin right here. It's not just the point of your chin, boys and girls. It's the side of your chin gets placed in the chin rest, okay? And that's how I hold my instrument. For the beginners, we're going to be holding our instrument right here on the body with our left hand. Okay. Now you're probably saying, what's that other piece underneath? Boys and girls, this is called a shoulder rest. This is a shoulder rest. I have one right here that I didn't put on. This is a shoulder rest. A shoulder rest is placed under your instrument, and it gives me a little bit of padding right here where my shoulder is. Gives me padding so that my instrument is secure and comfortable. Okay, that is a shoulder rest right there. Shoulder rest. That's an accessory piece. It's not actually a part of your instrument, it's an accessory, okay? It's attached by one of those clear rubber bands, and it easily comes off as well. When I pack up, I have to take that off. I cannot pack up my instrument with my shoulder rest on. No matter what that shoulder rest looks like, you have to take it off. Otherwise, the instrument sticks out of your case and the top gets smashed. So you have to be very careful about that. So just one more time, we have our chin rest. We have our tail piece with the fine tuners. Those are those little screws right there. They're called fine tuners. That brings us up to the bridge right here. That's where the strings go over the bridge. And before I forget, these holes in your instrument are called F holes. They're even shaped like cursive Fs, okay? These are called F holes, and this is where the sound comes out of, okay? Follow all the way up. We have the strings that are on the black fingerboard, which is on the neck of the instrument. And when I follow it all the way up, I come to the top, which is the scroll, which is on top of the peg box, which holds our tuning pegs in place. A lot of words there. So go over that a few times. Go over that a few times so that you can really communicate well with your teacher and your other fellow musicians.